This next song is represents my first foray into the time-honored musical song form, the Murder Ballad. And murder ballads pepper every kind of folk music that there is in the world. I mean, any country, any ethnicity, any language, murder ballads are there. There's just something so timeless and evocative about the image, And it's real interesting, the fascination with murder in itself is very interesting. It's a perennial fascination with humans. And if you think about murder mysteries, which are all over every kind of, literature, TV, movies, the means of offing someone are really usually fairly barbaric. It's always a question of who done it. The ways to do that are very rarely creative, So the mystery element of that is pretty lacking. Why don't we have birth mysteries? It happened again and nobody knows how. It's just an amazing thing. But it is a subject that we're fascinated by. And the one thing about murder ballads that I really am attracted to is I think it provides us a direct link to the time when travelers spread the news. Merchants, tradespeople, soldiers, priests, whoever, minstrels, troubadours, would spread the news. There was no media, there was no print, and so travelers would say, "Hey, did you hear two valleys over, so-and-so's sheep died, or did you hear so-and-so's barn burned?" And of course, a killing would be like big news. Did you hear? Bob and Al got into it over, something. And I think I would trust a merchant or a tradesperson or even a priest over a minstrel or a troubadour, because of the simple reason that minstrels and troubadours, they're literally singing for their suppers. So, what are the chances that some unscrupulous, the story has to be good. So, what are the chances that some unscrupulous troubadour might jazz it up a little bit, embellish the story, and just make it a little bit hotter, a little bit more racy, a little bit more vivid. And I'm sure that must have happened, and that just makes me so grateful to live in a time, or even, they might even, to curry favor with someone in power, or someone with wealth, or some local potentate, they might jazz up the story and slant it in a certain direction. And like I say, that makes me grateful to live in a more enlightened time where, we get our news straight from the source, with no discussion whatsoever. And, we're just so lucky in that regard. So, this is my first murder ballad called Redhead Girl. If you ever stop loving me, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll leave you in the dust so fast you won't know what hit you. Way down on the delta, where the river runs so wide, a farmer met a redhead girl and took her for his bride. They said she was an orphan from a small town to the east. She'd watched a stranger kill her mom and dad. Since then she known no peace. They worked his land together. Together they made it thrive. She grew into a woman strong by the river wide. Their days were full of honest work. Their nights were full of love. Sometimes she'd look so far away, he'd say, "What are you thinking of?" She'd say, "If you ever stop loving me, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll leave you in the dust so fast you won't know what hit you." He'd say, "Oh my love, it hurts me so to hear these words you My love is like the river wide, it will never go away. It happened on an autumn day when the fog hung close to the ground. They were working at the harvest, the fields were turning brown. A car came down the levee with a single man inside, rolled to a stop in a cloud of dust by the river wide. The stranger shook the farmer's hand. He said, I've gone astray. If you'll help me with direction, sir, I'll be on my way. The stranger's eyes were dark and bright. His hands were smooth and clean. The farmer watched him bow to the redhead girl and the look that passed between. Back at the house for dinner, he saw the tire tracks in the drive. He knew his redhead girl had gone, didn't have to look inside. He followed them down the levee to an old familiar place. They were parked beneath the live oak tree, locked in love's embrace. The farmer stood unbelieving. He began to shake and cry. He opened the door to the stranger's car and cursed his redhead bride. He dragged her out on the levee. For the stranger he did start. She pulled a pistol from her overnight bag, shot the farmer through the heart. She left him there on that red clay bank by the riverside. Walked up to the stranger, stared in his eyes so wide. She said, if you ever stop loving me, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll leave you in the dust so fast you won't know what hit you. Well, if there's a lesson to be learned from the story that you've heard, if you make a promise to a redhead girl, be sure and keep your word.